webinar of our working group services. This is part of the GPP 2020 project. And as I've seen that many of the participants in the webinar are not partners in the GPP 2020 project, what we will do is we will start with a short introduction to the GPP 2020 project so that you understand a little bit better what we are doing, and I will also tell you shortly what we are doing in this working group services. And after that we will have the 3 presentations which were announced, one about the framework agreement in postal services from the Catalan government, then the procurement of coordinated goods distribution by Växjö, and the last one is the procurement of organic seasonal food from Copenhagen. So we will start now with a short introduction by Philip to the project.
So a very warm welcome from my side too to this GPP 2020 webinar. I just give you all a short introduction to GPP 2020. The project is a project that runs for 3 years and started about close to 2 years ago. So we are in the final phase of this project. We teamed up together with a partnership of public purchasing organizations, expert organizations in the field of green public procurement, and we have one aim: to show that low carbon procurement is working in practice. And with this aim, we support also the Commission's goals to increase renewable energy, energy efficiency, and one of our main activities is that we report on our achievements via our low carbon tenders that we issue. We have more than 100 low carbon tenders planned throughout the time of the project. We have already published the results of 21 of them, and we continuously publishing our results in terms of, for instance, CO2 equivalent savings. So this figure of 140,000 tons of CO2 equivalent, just to give you a bit of an idea, accounts currently for the annual average household, EU household energy consumption of 20,000 households. Quite an achievement so far. We run also an events and training program. We have training seminars, more than 40 training seminars all across Europe. We have free available training materials. We have this webinar series. We have European events, national events, and one of the event that is coming up on European scale is the 21st of May event, low carbon procurement in practice, that we do together with our partners from the PRIMES project, and this will take place in Riga in Latvia. So mark the date already. Registration and info and program going out soon. A word on the partners. We work together in Austria with IFTAT and Federal Procurement Agency, and this is, for instance, just to give you an idea of the setup in each country. We work with an expert body and a purchasing body that has a real impact on the market. And this we have also in the Netherlands, for instance, with a focus on infrastructure, or in Catalonia also with a mixture between energy contracting and vehicles on fleet management. And we also offer any other public authority interested in this topic and testing out GPP criteria, particularly focusing on energy efficiency and low carbon impacts, to team up with us as associate partners. If you would like to know more about this, just write an email to info@gpp2020.eu. That's all from my side. I give back to Bettina to go on with the webinar. Thanks.
Okay, thanks, Philip. I'm trying to share my. Yes. Then Let me say just a few words about this webinar and the working group services. We have 3 working groups in the GPP 2020 project. One is about products, our one is about services, and a third one is about more processes and innovation in the tendering process. So what we are trying to do in these working groups is to share our tenders, our experiences, and to see if the criteria we are using in different countries are similar, or if there are differences, if there are maybe good ideas we haven't thought about until now. And what we are doing in this working group services is to try to identify how this CO2 reduction or energy efficiency can be introduced in service contracts, because maybe it's clearer and easier to do that for products, like for vehicles or for IT equipment or whatever. But when you're talking about service contracts, then maybe the products are only a small part of the contract or whatever. As there's also the trend to use more service contracts instead of buying products, we think that in the future it will be very important to know how to introduce green or energy efficiency criteria in this type of contracts, and therefore we are trying to share a little bit the experiences. We started in the first webinar. We started with energy service contracts, because this is like a very, very clear way how to introduce energy efficiency or low carbon in a contract, because in the energy service contract for buildings, you already you make like a pre-study where you define the savings, how they can be achieved, and how many savings can be achieved. And we thought this might be also a model for other types of contracts, but we are not sure. And then for this second webinar we are doing today, we decided to focus more on transport in service contracts. And there we have 3 different approaches. Let's say the first presentation from Sergei Vivankos is about a framework agreement on postal services. So there the transport is like in the center of the contract. It's the main thing in the contract is transport. It's vehicles running around and distributing letters. So this is really in the center. Then we have the second case from Växjö about the coordinated goods distribution. This is maybe more on logistics or on internal reflection, how to do the tendering. And the third one is this procurement of organic seasonal food in Copenhagen, where transport is only a small part of the contract, but there are also other aspects which are related to carbon emissions or energy efficiency. So these are 3 different levels, and we will start now with the presentation from the Catalan government about the framework agreement on postal services, which will be done by Sergei Vivankos from the Central Commission of Supply from the Catalan government.
Hello, everybody. I am Sergei Vivankos, and I work for the Catalan government. And I will talk about this contract. It's about postal services that we use and how did we said the company that had to serve to work for us in this matter. So if we see this contract, the main features of this contract is that the services included were the picking up and distribution of letters, postcards, and things like this. And when we tried to evaluate every company, each one of them could get a maximum 100 of points. 10 points were related to subjective evaluation, and 90 points revolved around objective evaluation. One thing that we checked, which is related to this matter, I think, is that we checked the office network of every company that was who wanted to work for us, and we gave 15 points out of 100 related to its office network. I think that it is related because if one company has more offices, it will be for citizens if they have to go to an office and pick up a letter or a notification that comes from us. If they have more offices, they will have to cover shorter distances. And the way that we did it is that territory was divided in 3 parts. As you see, main cities, the score was 5 points, and cities with more than 50,000 inhabitants had score was 5 points as well, and cities, smaller cities, has 5 points as well. And of course, the company that had more officers in each of these parts got the highest rank. There was another thing that we checked, that was the emissions of the vans that compose the fleets of the companies that wanted to work for us. It was 6 points over 100, and the reason of checking this was that if the vans that compose the fleets of the companies were composed by vans which produced less carbon dioxide emissions, it would be better for the environment. And the way that we did this, it was we asked the companies to give us for its fleet the emissions of each van they had, and the European standard classification that each van had. And the company that got the better mark got 6 points, and the rest of the companies were marked proportionally. We also asked the enterprises which wanted to work for us, that they told us how many vehicles in their fleets were electric, hybrid, or were propane or butane powered vehicles. And the reason is the same, that if we think that the more vehicles of this kind they have, it will be better for environment. And it was the same way that we did the previous criteria. The company that got who had more vehicles of this kind got 2 points, and the rest of them were marked proportionally. And this is all.
Okay. Thank you, Sergi. Maybe there are some direct questions about that. I think if anybody wants to ask something, you can see in the chat that you can raise your hand. So if anybody has a question, Alenka, so please, Alenka.
Alenka, you're speaking, right?
Yes, but I don't know. Do you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, fine. I just wonder, because it's a very interesting approach, do you already have some results, or it is a start?
No, we did this on the year 2012. It was the way that the company that now is serving us, which is the Correos and Telegrafos, is now serving us the delivery services.
Okay. So it means that it was successful.
Yeah, well, the way to check it was successful.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Maybe Sergi, if you could say something. The Correos, which were the one which won the bid, they presented, I think, a list of all the vehicles they had, and the Euro standards on the vehicles, and then you had to make the evaluation of all these vehicles.
Yeah, they presented a list of their vehicles, which they would use to send our letters to people who had to receive them, and we had to add every punctuation of the carbon dioxide emissions, and it was, I think that there was not a large distance between this company and the other one, but there was a significant distance. So in this criteria, I think that they got more points than the other company.
Okay, thanks. Are there more questions? No? Okay, then maybe let's go on with the next presentation, which is from Ulrika Nord from the Procurement Department of Växjö about the coordinated goods distribution. Ulrika?
Hello. I will now share my PowerPoint. Can you see it like that?
Yes, perfect.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me and Växjö. My name is Ulrika Nord, and I work as a logistic clerk at the Procurement Department. In my daily work, I have contact with our own organization, of course, but also our suppliers, local producers, and wholesalers. I will now talk about our way of distribute supplies in Växjö and in our county. There was a strong political will to ensure that the transport in our municipality don't rise no more CO2 than absolutely minimum. David, my boss, and our procurement manager made a small survey in 2008. A bigger study was made, and we asked our units and our organization during 2 weeks, and they had to answer questions about the transportation, the weight, the date, surface, and time, etc. Then we made the decision to make procurement and procure coordinated goods transport as a service. And that means both the terminal work and also the distribution. Alvex, a local distributor, he won the procurement and has an agreement over 12 years from 2009 and forward. The goals was, above all, to reduce the CO2 that we as an organization were to rise, but also making it possible to small and local producers to be a supplier to us. Most of the small local producers and growers and farmers, they don't have the ability to be a supplier to the municipality unless we have solved the logistics. We wanted to remove trade barriers, you can say. We implemented this in October 2010, and we started with office supplies. And by the April the next year, 2011, we began to also distribute all the food supplies. This is a traditional way of getting supplies in a municipality in Sweden, and I think in all countries maybe. Suppliers drive their products after orders to each unit, totally unoptimized. So one unit, for example, a school or a kindergarten, could get up to 9 to 12 distributions a week or a day at least. But this is how Växjö municipality and many more municipalities in Sweden are doing it right now. Providers or suppliers that run their goods after order to one address. Here the goods is compiled to the same device of a load carrier and then are transported, optimized on a predetermined route. Writing materials and other non-food products runs out once a week, but food supplies, they can get as they needed. Some great preparation kitchens has deliveries up to 5 times a week, but most smaller units, such as kindergartens and smaller offices, they have a delivery just once a week. All routes are optimized and devices are predetermined, delivery days compiled. This is made together with the units, me, and of course Alvex. So together we have settled a route that is great for everyone. This is some transport facts in Sweden. Here we can see that 70% of the total freight volume is transported within our county. And this is why many municipalities looks at their transports. The benefits for our organization is, of course, the increased traffic safety, but also the efficiency. And we can get many more suppliers and more local suppliers when we have this system. But of course, also we expect lower prices because the suppliers and the wholesalers don't have to go around all the municipality with its goods. It can deliver it to one address, and we have bought the last mile from our distribution center to our units in the municipality. This is the current situation when we have this consolidation center. We have around 470 municipality units. They have 350 deliveries per week instead of the 1900. When we do the study in 2009, there was 1900 a week. Around 15 tons each working day goes through our consolidation center. We have a delivery plan, and we have times when they can expect their delivery. And we also have an e-purchasing system, which are connected to our suppliers, where we do the purchases, and they get their orders, and then they deliver it to our consolidation center. And as it's said there, this isn't just a project. It's a change of behavior within our municipality. They have to make their order in the e-purchasing system, and they get their goods compiled, every sort of goods in one car. And as you can see here, we have around 4,000 tons in Växjö municipality per year. In this consolidation center, we delivers all kinds of food, office supplies, plastic and paper, and all things that you need in a municipality with schools, kindergarten, offices, and kitchen. Of course, this isn't a free system. We pay for it, and Alvex is, as I said, our distributor. We pay them about 5 million Swedish crowns a year for this. And as I said, we are expecting lower prices from our wholesalers. And as I said, the environmental effects and the goals is, of course, the biggest one, as we call us the greenest city of Europe. And we can see, as we procure this system, we could put demands on the cars and the lorries. So now they are driven with RME, it's a biodiesel, mixed with ACP. And maybe in this year we will have HVO 100 instead. And this is greater lower in the emissions. And as you can see, before the coordinated distribution, we have 61 kilos CO2 per delivered ton. And now we have only 4 kilos. And that's because the refrigerators, the frozen and the chilled ones, is driven with ordinary diesel. And the numbers, as I said, 90 to 100 stops before this coordination, and now only 350. That is a great less also. Thank you very much for listening. And if you have questions, I'll be here.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there questions from the participants? Or if there are questions, so please raise your hand. No?
I see one from Bettina.
Okay.
Hi, this is Bettina from Denmark. I'm very amazed of what you're doing, Ulrika. It's what I would love to do here in Copenhagen.
Okay.
We are working on it very intensely, so I'm very interested in seeing all your materials and your calculations behind this, because we have a very strong political will. Just started 2 months ago doing this in Copenhagen, but we are far from reaching our goal yet, since it's just been 2 months now. So if it's any possibility to get all your materials or stay in contact closer, it would be really, really valuable for me.
Of course, of course. I think I have your email address, maybe Bettina. Otherwise, I can get it from Philippe or Bettina Schaefer, maybe.
Perfect. Then we'll stay further in touch. Thank you very much.
We stay in contact, Bettina.
Okay, and then Alenka is also raising her hand.
Hello, Alenka.
2 questions. First one is, so behind all this activity is municipality. Municipality is driving. Is this correct?
Alenka, sorry, we can't hear you. Please go closer to the microphone.
This amount for this, how you call it, the center, consultation center, because it's quite high sum. But otherwise, it's very inspiring project indeed. You should give us.
I didn't hear the question, sorry. I heard that you're speaking, Alenka, but I can't hear a question, sorry.
Okay.
Alenka, you must.
Okay, I'm trying again.
Now it's better. Yes, very much better.
Okay. I had two questions. First of all, of course, thank you for very, very inspiring project that you presented.
Thank you.
But then two questions. So the main driver behind this project is municipality.
That's correct, yes.
Organizer, driver, whatsoever. This is one question. And the second question is, who pays this 5 million for this consolidated center? Is it municipality or all who are using this system? Thanks.
Thank you, Alenka. As I understand, your question was if there is one driver. Yes, there is a distributor. He has 13 cars driving around in the county, and I think 2 or 3 of these lorries drives for the municipality only. And the Växjö municipality is rather big, so in the outskirts of Växjö municipality, they use their network, so there can be 3 or 4 lorries that has our municipality goods in them, but they are mixed with others goods also. So it's not just the municipality, but you can say 2 or 3 lorries are dedicated to Växjö municipality, and then we use this surface in the other lorries, so that we have the biggest. We want to fill the lorries as much as possible. We don't want lorries driving around with municipality goods tumbling in the back. It should be as full as possible. And yes, the municipality pays our distributor for this last mile, and the 5 million is per year. So every unit that are using the transport pays their own costs. We pay Alvex today 60 Swedish crowns, and that is about 6 euros per stop that he made, and also 1.25 Swedish crowns per delivered kilo. So every unit pays their own costs, and together it is around 5 million per year. Is that an answer, Alenka, to your question?
Thanks. Just one more clarification. So it was your municipality who set up the whole system, and then you have chosen one transportation organization who is delivering things, right?
That's correct, Alenka. We set up this system, and we made a procurement within the law of public procurement, and Alvex won the agreement. I know other cities and other municipalities in Sweden, there are very much competitions. I know in Jönköping, it's a larger municipality 10 miles from here. They had 7 answers to their procurement. It is a competition, and Alvex won here because we have demands on the car, on the diesel that is what they use it, and so on, and cameras in the car, and when you start the car, you need to blow and show that you are fit to drive the car, and such demands, and they won the agreement this time.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, then I see that there is also Ivo raised his hand, so please, Ivo.
Yes, good morning, everyone. Are you hearing me right?
Yes,
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I have two questions. I think maybe one was already answered. But the first question is, could you please, to Ulrika, could you please explain again how small suppliers were permitted to supply the municipality? I didn't understand that part. I didn't understand how the trade barriers were overcome. And the second question is, was the consolidation center already built? Did you build it? Was there need to buy more equipment, or was there a need to expand the operation of the distributor? And was this calculated in your environmental assessment of the benefits accounted for?
Hello, Ivo. I will try to answer your questions. When the small suppliers want to deliver to the municipality, we have made it possible for them because often they don't have the possibility to drive around to maybe 50 or 100 kitchens to deliver their carrots or their potatoes. But if we have one address for them to drive and deliver all their potatoes and carrots, and then we buy the last mile out to our kitchens. Can I show my PowerPoint again? Thank you.
Sure, yes, right.
I mean like this, Ivo. When the suppliers have to drive to only one address, the consolidation center, and deliver their supplies, they reach maybe 50 kitchens in one address. Before this system, they have to drive around to all the units, all the schools and kitchens, and then the farmers and growers have to have an own lorry and take time to deliver all this. With our system, we know that we have removed one trade barrier for them.
Okay, I understand.
And the next question was if the Alvex already had a terminal and things they need to use. Yes, they did. They had all this before we made the procurement. So in that kind, it wasn't no problem for them to start this.
So there were no added impacts, pressures from new equipments that were needed to supply this operation?
No, it wasn't. But I think they hired.
Yes.
So it's,
okay, thank you very much.
Okay, I don't know if there's any other question. I don't see raised hands for the moment. I have a very short question, but later after the third presentation, we will also come back to you once more. Is it right that you said that the agreement is for 12 years?
Yes, it is for 4 years, and then we can longer it 3 more times.
Okay.
So it's 12 years in at the most.
Okay, thanks. It was just this question, but later we will come back to you. But
okay.
Now we will go on with the last presentation, which is from Bettina Bergman. Please start. Bettina, are you speaking?
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes, now we can hear you. Yes.
Okay, something went wrong. I don't know what. I'll try again and see if you can see my presentation. Can you see any?
Yes, we can see your desktop. Yes.
Okay, well, just something went wrong with the connection. In Copenhagen, we made a procurement because we're going towards 90% organic food in our public meals here in 2015. So we had to make 100% public procurement for fruit and vegetables. I just made this last year. This is a map of our kitchens. I work closely together with the Copenhagen House of Food, and they mapped our kitchens, and each of these little dots you see, you can, here on this map, you can press each of those to see what kind of kindergarten or school is it, and how are their percentage of organic food. In the municipality of Copenhagen, we, as I said, are going towards 90% organic in 2015. We serve approximately 80,000 meals per day. 40,000 of them are dinner meals. And then it's just numbers. I thought that would be nice for you to have. Like I said, we work closely together with the Copenhagen House of Food because I do not know that much about the goods, the food. I'm only a procurement specialist, and then they can tell me what demands are in the kitchen, and then I create it into the public procurement. When we do our contracts, we go for fresh fish for the small units. This is one of our special contracts because we made it so that the producers of fresh fish or the grocers of fresh fish, they decide what kind of fish are going towards the kitchen. So it's not the kitchens that are deciding what kind of fish they want to eat in the menu. Also, we had a market push saying that we need organic halal slaughtered meat. The producers said that is not a product we have. I said, well, I will ask for it in my tender in a couple of years. Suddenly, when I made the tender, suddenly they had organic halal produced meat. So that's just to show how dialogue with the market can help you. And that's my next point is, I think to gain our goals is to have a close dialogue with the market. We have annual 4 meetings with the suppliers we already have in stock, and then when I'm making a new tender, I prepare a meeting before the tender to tell this tender is coming, what do I think, and what are my goals. We use the procurement as a platform to develop markets when we see we have a lack of a certain goods that we need. In Denmark, we have a circle around Copenhagen, for example, that says that we only want vehicles here that are Euronorm 6 or higher in 2015. Earlier it was Euronorm 5, so that is a minimum criteria for our tenders. We have I work especially with food tenders. I missed to say that is my specialty, and that is because we think that food is such a difficult good to ask for. We want them, our kitchens, converting them to 90% organic. We ask them to produce food from a diversity of food and seasonality. Mostly, of course, fruit and vegetables, but that is mainly for our kindergartens and schools. Elderly people eat more meat. So in our fruit and vegetables tender, we ask not just for one kind of pears, apple, and plums. We ask them, the suppliers, to let us know what was in season. And actually, we ask them to say, I have one line that says apples normal standard, then I have one line saying apples for a luxury standard, and then I have one apple saying that is like not so good standard. And those 3 apples, I asked them to say, what kind of apples do you then have? And then they should fill in what I call the wheel of season. I can show it to you in the next slides, because I think one apple is just not one apple. As you see on this picture, we have the normally organic apples, but kind of boring. Then we have another apple growing here in the north. And I think it's very important that we have both on our list of goods, because we all know that apples can be stored for a very long time. And if we do not ensure that we have a diversity of goods on our tenders, then we just end up with that one apple shown in the back. Here you see an example of one of our suppliers that bid into us. All in the second clone is all the different kinds of apples that were given to us just by one, and this is not all of them. In total, we had more than 100 different species of apples given to us in the tender. And that is, so now you can, when you're a kindergarten, you can choose from, for example, when it's high season, maybe you can choose from 10, 15 different kinds of apples. Then to say, how do you differ prices in season? Because I only ask for the goods when it is in season. And then the suppliers ask me, how do you then define season? I said, seasons, you define that of when the goods are in season in that country where you buy it. So it's very important that I do not prefer Danish goods or Swedish goods or goods from the north. I just want to ensure that it is goods that are produced naturally, if possible. The suppliers, they can take out products from our pricing list when it's not in season, and then we just let it not be raised. It's kind of technical, but I can go deeper into that if you are interested. We also have a test of the quality of the goods because we think it's just not possible to describe all kind of sensory in our tenders. So we ask them to give in. We have some technical specification, of course, but then after the tender is run, and then it's a part of the evaluation to see what quality food have you then offered us. And then they have to, with 1 day ahead, they have to deliver in the goods that we ask for. And then we have a panel of experts testing the goods. This is a test field. You can see how they, this is for example for pears and apples sliced, how it is the color, how did it look, how does it smell, how does it taste, what is the consistency of it, is it soft, is it crusty, how are the size, and how do I grade it in total. This is a part of the list that we make for the tenders, seeing what kind of goods do we want to have in for tests. Here, for example, you can say basil, because the House of Foods, of course, make this because I do not know that much about the goods, but basil are not just basil. You can get basil that tastes of nothing, and then basil that tastes of a lot, and that is very important to the kitchen for how much you use from the basil. If you have basil tasting of nothing, then you should use a lot. A basil tasting of a lot, then you should use less. Here's the example of us testing it. Of course, it is anonymous, so you cannot see what grossest the goods come from, and it is this criteria weighs at least 25 to 30%. So our tenders normally say 40% price, 20 to 30% sensory, and then the last percentage is service sometimes. Yeah. vision for the future is that the food miles can be a part of the evaluation, or that we can make something like Växjö made. We really want to ask for more locally produced goods. Luckily, our season tender made the suppliers asked for a lot of different goods, and to do that, they had to go out to contact farmers close to their wholesale company. So I think that is it for now. Yeah? Can you hear me still?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So thank you very much for your presentation. Are there any questions? I see some raised hands, but I don't know if it's still from the round.
Ulrika raised her hand.
Yes, please. One question, Bettina.
Yeah.
Do you have an e-purchasing system for the purchases in your city for this? Or
we have we use systems for other goods, but not for foods, because we think that foods will change so often. We actually made for fruit and vegetable, we made it change daily, because I want the prices when they are in season, I want them to lower. And if the prices are not in season, then it's okay for the distributors to raise them.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there more questions? Oh, Alenka, perfect. Please.
You showed quality testing. Do you use this testing for every purchasing, for most type of fruit and vegetable? And the second question I have is, do you okay, you have one of the mandate is that the food is seasonable, so it means not necessarily produced locally, but do you work, and how you do that with the local community that can deliver food? And yeah, does that mean that the food has all organic certificates, right?
Yes. First question, do we test all our goods? Every time we make a new tender, we test the goods before we give. It is a part of our evaluation. So every time we make a new tender, we test the goods. That is fruit, vegetables, that is milk, that is everything. And then our collaboration with the House of Food, they decide what kind of goods, and together with our big kitchens, they decide what kind of goods we should test on. The next question was if we evaluate season before local food. Yes, we do not want to buy. Of course, if it's local, it's not bad. But the city of Copenhagen, we say that we look more towards small and medium-sized firms, because you cannot ask for local in our public procurements. What we do in Copenhagen is that we look around in our area to see, are there any small and medium-sized firms that we have to ensure that will be able to bid on our tender. So if I see I have a local farmer who produces herbs, for example, then last time I made a tender only for herbs, like basil, parsley, rosemary and stuff like that. Just to make sure that this one local producer had a chance to bid in. Then it should be up to competition if they can, if they are good enough to win the tender. So that's how we do with that. Was that all questions I don't? Oh.
Thanks, yeah.
Or did you have one more?
But I have another two.
Yeah.
First, is it possible to get some more information regarding this food testing, if necessary, later on from your contact?
Of course.
And the second question is about this house of food that you are mentioning in Copenhagen. What exactly this is? Can you explain more?
Yeah. Of course, you can get more about my testing. We did it 3 times because I only made 3 tenders since we started on testing the foods. And it is actually, it is of course time consuming. It takes a couple of days, but then it's very valuable to our tender because you cannot always describe the quality. The House of Food is a place that was many years ago defined by the municipality of Copenhagen to raise the quality in our public meals. Since then they became self-owned firm that can help all kinds of cities in Denmark and abroad, making tenders for food and changing the way that we serve our foods in our public organizations. They are very focused on organic meals, and they know everything that is to know about food. And that is why it is so valuable for me to have this cooperation with them, because, for example, this idea about the season wheel, that was Anja, who is my contact person there. She said to me, Anja Hulberg, she said to me, we need more than 1 apple in our kindergartens. I was like, oh, well, they can live with 2 apples then. And she's like, no, because imagine some of these kids, they only live there. The only fruit they get is in the kindergartens. And then I could see, well, of course, then we have to have more than 1 or 2 apples. Then I said, well, then maybe we can get the suppliers to describe what kind of apples they have during a season. And then in that dialogue back and forth, suddenly we came up with, of course, we had to make a wheel of seasons. And then she pointed out what kind of fruit and vegetables that should be in this wheel. And then in my tender, all the suppliers, they said, well, this is a good tool also for us to work with our sub-suppliers to make sure that they can deliver certain goods for us at certain times. Now we have it more in writing. So when it comes to September month, all my kitchens, I send to them a list of goods that they can expect in September from our fruit and vegetable supplier. Then they can see in September we can expect these kinds of apples, these kind of pears, these kinds of plums. And they have this already from the contract start. So they have like a little book saying now it is September, now we can look on this page and see what kind of goods can we get in September. So, and this was also a security for the supplier, because they know now they don't have to deliver strawberries in December for me, because that is not in season. Is that enough?
Yes, great, thank you.
Okay. You're welcome.
I have seen that there's one question in the chat from Maria Pavel. It says, to all panelists, have you met any problems regarding linking transportation to the contract matter? So maybe if anybody of you...
Linking, can you say that again? What kind of transportation?
It says, have you met any problems regarding linking transportation to the contract matter? I think maybe, yes, what I understand is that it's obviously more for your case with the food, because there the provision of food is not directly related to criteria regarding vehicles. I think in the other cases it's clearer that it's related directly.
I'm not sure what we mean with linked in transportation.
That, as I understand, is that transportation criteria are not like the center of a contract, which is food.
I can answer for that in my contract because we have so strong minimum criteria for transportation in Denmark, and it is just, for example, that was also a link in my presentation where you can see that we have a certain criteria for Euro norm 6 for our vehicles. So that is not a problem in Denmark. We have a minimum criteria, or at least, but the one thing that I worked on was that it should be the supplier who decide what day you should get delivered, because that we kind of try to reduce them driving around the city too much. So the kindergarten could say we want foods delivered 2 times a week, 1 time a week, 3 times a week, something like that, and then it should be the supplier who decides what date and what time then. So that was the way we did it.
Okay, thanks. I've seen that Simon wants to ask something.
The question was actually about food miles, and again relating to this local issue and discrimination. Could you explain how you're dealing with food miles in this procurement process?
We do not calculate food miles yet, and I really do not think that it is quite there yet. I know 2 municipalities in Denmark who just did this in a tender that is out right now, and I'm looking very closely to see how it is, how it will work, and I'm not quite sure we are fully there yet with the food mile. I would love to be more specific, and I think if we have to work with that, we more have to work with how is the goods produced and have more accurate calculation regarding each specific product for food. And that would really do something. For example, is the tomato grown in a greenhouse, or is it grown on the field? Because grown in greenhouse in Denmark is probably more unhealthy for our environment than growing on the field in Spain, I think, even though it is driven to us by truck afterwards.
Yeah, okay, so you're talking about having a real carbon footprint for the whole supply chain for each individual food stuff, effectively.
I would love that, but it is. I think maybe we should focus on some of the products we know that is very unhealthy for our environment to begin with, and then, well, it's a start at least. But I also think that if we work with Ulrika Nord's concept of putting it through one central distribution central, then we can reduce at least some of it. And I would love to work with that. That is a start, I think.
Okay, thank you. I don't know, is there any other question about the Copenhagen presentation? No, if not, then I have a question to all of you, to your 3, Celsi, Bettina, and Ulrika, because when we had our last webinar about energy service contracts in buildings, it was very clear that one of the strong points of the energy service contract is that they really make very detailed pre-studies of the benefits or the expected benefits. And what I would like to know, as I understand it, in the case of
I know what you mean, though. But
I don't know the official.
There's somebody from ICLAI speaking. Okay. So if you made really a pre-study on the possible benefits, or if it just let you you see the result of the tendering and then you're trying maybe to improve the criteria. As I understand what Bettina said, is that there's a lot of market dialogue or observation of the market maybe, and maybe in case of Catalonia it's more than you see what the result is and how they are reacting, and then you understand if you can put stronger criteria or not. But just if all of you could say something about the pre-studies you're doing or the evaluation of benefits for tendering.
I can start because I can see I still have not the mute yet. So in Denmark we have for food tenders we have a lot of dialogue, as you said, and it is a lot of market knowledge, and I know the players. So it is we're working very closely with the suppliers to see what can be done, and if they say it can't be done, then I will try to push towards that it is possible anyway. So that's my point of view.
Okay, thanks. And Ulrika?
Yes, please. Thank you again. Just as Bettina said, we have made a lot of service and lot of energy put it on this market knowledge, as Bettina said, around distribution and the local suppliers. And just as Bettina said, you can't claim for in the law of public procurement for local suppliers, but if you make it possible for them to really deliver to a municipality, they do make their offers, and we also have in contact with the local suppliers and the growers around the county. Me and my colleague Marita, who is also a purchaser of food supplies, just as Bettina, I guess. She knows her area and knows what to. She could put some demands. So there is much work among this. Yes, thank you.
Okay, thanks. And then Sergi, in your case.
Well, thanks. Well, I think that in our case, there was a little studies before the contract took place. It was with the help of ICAEN, I think, but it was very small studies. And I think that with the collaboration of ICAEN and the Department of Environment of our government, we'll try to improve this. Is it okay?
Yes, that's okay. Thanks. I think if there are no more questions from any of the participants, I think we would leave it here. The most interesting is, I think, to have the contact. So if anybody of you wants to get the direct contact from Bettina, Sergio, or Ulrika, then just please tell us or tell ICLAI, so you can stay in contact. I think it is also very interesting to see that what you explained about the how you are working with the market or trying to get the local companies involved. And what we will do is we will try to make a resume of set of the presentations, and then maybe we will have some more questions or comments to share with you. But when we've finished it, then we will share it with all, also with the participants, so it will be available. And I would like to thank you very much for your participation, and yes, hope to hear you again soon. Okay, goodbye.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you very much, and bye. And you're welcome to come back if you have any questions.
Thanks to all you. Goodbye. Enjoy.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.